The WB11 News at 10. Winner of the prestigious Edward R. Murrow Award for Best Newscast in New York.
Good evening, everyone. Some very intense weather hit our area tonight.
It was crazy, I'm telling you. Torrential downpours, lightning, flooding. It caught a lot of people off guard. 2 buildings were hit by lightning in the city. Nobody was hurt, luckily. Flooding is reported throughout the area with several major highways underwater. But better weather is on the way. Mr. G will join us in just a few minutes to explain everything. All
right, other news now. On the eve of primary day, it is down to the wire for the mayoral candidates. The 4 Democratic hopefuls and 2 Republicans were all out and about today, hitting the streets on this final day of campaigning before voters head to the polls tomorrow morning. Lolita Lopez is live in Midtown now with the latest. Lolita.
Well, Jim, it was certainly a tiring day for all of the mayoral candidates. A campaign worker for one of the Democratic hopefuls told me their group hasn't slept in over 32 hours. But that's what it takes, pure adrenaline, if any one of these hopefuls are going to attract voters. Many voters whose decisions are still up in the air.
There will be a new mayor. I will get up, ready to fight some more.
The clock is ticking. With less than 24 hours to go until polls open, mayoral candidates pound the pavement.
I am hectic, I am happy, I am excited.
I got a little bit of coffee. Well, you know, this time of the day, it's always nice to have an occasional cup of coffee.
And the Democratic hopefuls will need it as they continue trying to get a piece of the pie at Junior's restaurant or rallying this predominantly black and Latino crowd. According to a recent Quinnipiac poll, Mark Green and Fernando Ferrer are neck and neck. Peter Vallone and Alan Hevesy are far behind, but there are still 16% undecided. Down to the last day and you're not ready?
I know I'm going to vote, but I don't know who I'm going to vote for.
With an unpredictable Mother Nature and the hectic lifestyle of New Yorkers, the key issue in this primary election is voter turnout.
The weather now has just opened up, and that's okay for today. But it better not happen tomorrow. We want people to go out to the polls.
Hey there, you ready to vote in tomorrow's primary?
No, thanks.
Despite the refusal of some, most say they will exercise their right.
I'm going tomorrow morning early, get it over with.
There you go.
Because before it get too crowded.
When are you going to find time to go vote?
Oh, after work. You can find the time. That's not a problem. 7:30 in the morning.
7:30 in the morning. Getting it done.
Getting it done, baby.
That's right. And the Board of Elections says the polling places will be ready.
We have people we're sending out as troubleshooters and trouble mechanics.
About 85 mechanics will be on hand inspecting voting machines like this one. 30,000 poll workers will be checking the ballots, but many have criticized the board's antiquated system that could bring confusion in this year's heavily contested races.
We're trying to expedite everything, get our machines back within 48 hours so we could start verifying the paper to make sure every vote counts. I could almost guarantee you that we will not have a Florida.
And the people's choices? Who are you voting for? Do you know
that's
yet?
a secret.
I wouldn't speak it. You know, I like to go in the booth and cast it there.
And tomorrow, all the candidates, many with their wives, plan to vote bright and early and then continue campaigning throughout the day, attempting to influence others to head to the polls. Live in Midtown, I'm Lolita Lopez for the WB11 News at 10. Katie, back to you.
Yeah, and they're hoping it'll stay bright all day long. Thank you, Lolita. And as the clock ticks down to tomorrow's primary, new controversy tonight over some remarks made by Republican candidate Michael Bloomberg. Marvin Scott joins us now with more on this part of the story. Marvin.
Heidi, the words that are being attributed to Bloomberg are adding fodder to the final hours of what has been a rather uneventful campaign. Herman Badillo, who is trailing in the Republican race, says the off-color remarks show the real Mike Bloomberg, while the media mogul says it's simply political dirty pool.
It's just a cheap political trick that people are trying to tar me with. Nothing I can do about it other than go on.
Bloomberg is seething over the primary eve revelation in New York Magazine of a pamphlet containing off-color quips and jokes. The Bloombergisms are laced with profanity, and some target gays and lesbians. In one quip, he is quoted as saying, if women wanted to be appreciated for their brains, they'd go to the library instead of to Bloomingdale's.
It's not reflective of what I think. There are a bunch of old jokes recycled. All of these things were in the Borscht Belt circuit years ago.
The leather-bound booklet of his quotations was given to Bloomberg by employees 11 years ago. In another quote, the Jewish candidate reportedly says, if Jesus was a Jew, why does he have a Puerto Rican first name? And residents of Queens might be surprised to hear this one. I make it a rule never to go to Queens, and since that eliminates both airports, I don't travel a great deal. Did you make those remarks?
Not that I ever remember. I'm sure most of those jokes I never heard before in my life, although other people say they were pretty common. But no, as far as I remember, never.
Challenger Herman Badillo says the remarks show that Bloomberg is insensitive and guilty of sexual harassment and claims he's trying to muzzle the editor of the pamphlet, a former employee to whom he's holding to a confidentiality agreement. Tonight, Bloomberg supporters were undaunted by the revelations as they cheered him on at a rally at the Metropolitan Republican Club. Bloomberg did admit the remarks are of questionable taste.
Those are not appropriate jokes. They weren't funny. Some people can certainly find them distasteful, but they are old jokes. They weren't mine.
As for his supporters, the Bloomberg quips haven't changed their opinion one bit.
I think that it's ridiculous. Have you ever said anything to somebody as a joke?
What somebody said 20, 30 years ago could be taken out of context.
Totally unoffended.
And as for calling off his lawyers from muzzling the former employee who put together that booklet of quotes, Bloomberg says no way, noting that confidentiality agreements are standard practice in corporate America. Meantime, the candidate is working all 5 boroughs tonight in an effort to get out the vote tomorrow for a primary which traditionally draws little Republican response in a city where Democratic voters outnumber Republicans 5-1. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Okay.
Yes, we will. Thank you,
Thanks,
Marvin.
Marvin.
And just a reminder for tomorrow's primary, the polls open at 6 a.m. They close at 9 p.m., so get out and vote. Then join us on the news at 10 for all the results. And for full coverage of all the candidates and all of the primary races, including mayor, you can check out tomorrow's City edition of Newsday.
The venerable Wall Street firm Morgan Stanley Dean Witter is in hot water tonight. The federal government has filed a class action lawsuit on behalf of 100 women who accuse management of using the proverbial glass ceiling to deny them promotions and salaries based on their gender. Barry Cunningham has more.
Allison Shevlin was earning more than $1 million a year as a bond trader at Morgan Stanley when she claimed she came up against a glass ceiling at the brokerage firm's Broadway office tower. The highest paid salesperson on her desk, she was passed over for promotion to managing director, Allison says, because she's a woman. Moreover, when she filed a discrimination complaint, she was fired.
Women working at every level of employment understand that there is fair and equal pay commensurate with their male counterparts.
Today, the Federal Equal Opportunity Employment Commission filed suit against Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, alleging that the firm discriminated against Allison Shevlin and as many as 100 other women on the basis of their sex.
They fear retaliation or worse. To complain equates to kiss your Wall Street career goodbye.
The EEOC lawsuit alleges sexist conduct by Ms. Shevlin's male colleagues, excluding her from business-related ski trips, golf outings, and after-dinner visits to topless strip clubs. On one occasion, the suit alleges, she was told the men would be uncomfortable participating in sexually oriented entertainment with a woman colleague present, especially one who knew their wives. Even on a $1 million job, New York businesswomen say there's no excuse for rewarding women less than men.
$1 million, does sound like a lot, but however, you have to work 10 times as hard as a man does to make that kind of money.
In response, a Morgan Stanley spokeswoman sent out an email today saying mutual respect and non-discrimination are core values here, and if we have to go to court to prove them, we will. Adding, she was dismissed after she initiated an abusive confrontation with her boss, the woman who got the job she's suing over. In response, Ms. Shevlin says the woman who got her job, Gail Evers, was promoted 1 year after Shevlin filed her discrimination complaint, and at a time when the firm knew the federal government was investigating charges that there was a pattern of pay discrimination against women at Morgan Stanley. On West 48th Street, Barry Cunningham for the WB11 News at 10.
Police in New Jersey tonight are looking for the suspect in a hit-and-run accident that has left a police officer fighting for his life tonight. Pamela Chan is standing by for us at University Hospital in Newark with details. Pamela.
Kaidi, the family of Officer Melvin Berry is holding vigil here at University Hospital. The officer is in critical condition after being hit by an SUV. And as his family prays for his recovery, his fellow officers need the public's help finding the hit-and-run driver. The 26-year-old 5-year veteran of the Newark Police Department was off duty Friday night, riding his motorcycle down Springfield Avenue in Irvington when he was hit by a black Ford Expedition and left for dead.
It appeared that a female was getting out of the Ford Expedition, at which time the driver got back into the Ford Expedition and then just fled the scene.
Officer Melvin Berry was rushed to University Hospital in Newark with a pelvic fracture, broken leg, and internal injuries. He underwent surgery this afternoon and is still in critical condition, on a respirator and unresponsive. Now his fellow officers in the police department want to find the person responsible.
He's a very dedicated officer to the city of Newark, highly decorated, very eager out in the streets, loved by everybody, whether it's on the job or off the job. He has a real close, tight-knit family.
So dedicated an officer, in fact, Melvin Berry was credited last month with reuniting a Roselle mom and her 2.5-month-old infant after spotting the missing baby with his babysitter on a Newark street.
Hopefully somebody will, it'll touch their heart and they'll come out and, reach out and give us some information so that we can go on.
Back at the scene, people who live near the busy intersection of Springfield and Harrison say it's a magnet for accidents.
There are guys and stolen cars that are speeding around the corners, and it's pretty bad.
Police are offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to an arrest and conviction. Again, witnesses believe the driver was a female. She was last seen traveling north on Grove Street toward East Orange in a black Ford Expedition. We're live tonight at University Hospital in Newark. I'm Pamela Chan for the WB11 News at 10. Jim, back to you.
Okay, thank you, Pam.